Hello there, my name is Kenny or Rev Kenny, and I want to talk to you today about the eating plan that goes along with this weight loss plan, The Weight, the Truth and the Life, or thechurchdiet.com. And right off I want to tell you that this plan is not prescriptive. You don't have to do this, you don't have to eat this way, but it's the way that I eat, and I said that I would tell you about this. It is a healthy diet, I'm sure, I'm certain, and I'm looking forward to being able to share this with you. Perhaps some of you might want to follow this, and that's good, and if you do, I'd like to know that and maybe help you if I can. So in this diet, the church diet, the weight, the truth and the life, we have three different kinds of days. We have three F days, you could say. We have feast days, we have fast days, and we have feria days or normal days. Feast, fast and feria. So let's look at each of those in turn. On the feast days that we have, there might be one or two of those every week, and certainly a Sunday would be a feast day. The day that we remember the resurrection of Jesus. And on a feast day, we remember, ordinary people that have done extraordinary things. The saints who have done really extraordinary things in their lives. And when it's their day, then we remember them by celebrating with them and feasting with them. Okay, but when we say feast, what does that mean? What it doesn't mean is pigging out or overeating or stuffing ourselves. What it does mean is that we don't worry too much about restricting ourselves or as much. So when we talk, and I'll talk in a little while about feria days, the normal days, basically a feast day is like a feria day, but just a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less restrictive. Okay? Fast days, on the other hand, are days that are more restrictive, and thankfully the church doesn't have very many fast days in its calendar. However, the church did and still does traditionally call Friday a fast day, a day that we remember the crucifixion of Jesus when he died on the cross on Good Friday. And so we try and remember on Friday to eat a lot less in memory of that incredible event, incredible thing that Jesus did. But when we say fast, we don't mean that we don't eat anything, that we starve. That's not what we say at all. What we say is that we try and eat a lot less than a normal day. So a feast day, we eat a lot more, or not a lot more, but we are less restrictive. And on a fast day, we are more restrictive. And we try and eat less than 1,000 calories, and ideally around about 500 or 600 calories. But basically the same foodstuffs as on a feria day, which I'm about to go on and describe now. So the feria days we have are normal days, which are kind of workaday days, normal, usual, day-to-day days. The days in between the fast days and the feast days. So what do we do on a feria day? What's really the very heart of this diet? How does it work? What do I eat? Well, I've been trying to find the most nutritious way of eating that I can. And this way of eating is really a kind of a fusion or a kind of a put together of a whole lot of different ideas that seem to make sense and work for me. But the essence of it is that I want to pack in as many nutrients as I can into every calorie that I eat. And see if you look at that, see if you look at the nutritional value of food, and I've done this, then you'll find that the most nutritious foods are, wait for it, no surprise, vegetables and fruit and beans and lentils and split peas, that sort of thing. There's no real surprise there. We all really know this, don't we? We know that highly processed foods like breads that have used flour that's been highly processed, or cakes with a lot of sugar and fat in flour, and pizzas, these sorts of foods are not good for us. And we know also that foods that are fried in fats and oils, like chips and batter and buttered rolls and sausage and bacon, fried, they're not good for us either. And we know also that foods that are high in sugar and high in cream, like ice cream or sweets or chocolate bars, we know that they're not good for us too, don't we? And we're kidding ourselves on if we think differently than that. So highly processed foods, fats and oils, foods with lots of sugar and salt, and dairy products like cheese and milkshakes, they are not good for us. What happens is that most of the nutrition is sucked out of all of the ingredients as they're processed, and all that's left is garbage, full of empty calories, calories that don't give us any value other than fat. They just layer fat onto our already fat bodies. And I have to say that alcohol is included in that list too. And yet those are all the things that we like, aren't they? That's the annoying thing, is the things that we like, most of them, lots of them, are not good for us. And that's why we have an obesity epidemic in the Western world. Our palates, our taste, has become so attuned to the things that are not good for us that so many people now have diabetes and are extremely overweight or are ill, they have serious heart conditions. These are the killer diseases now in this Western world. Strokes and even cancers. These weren't around so much. It's really been in the last, 50 or so years that these have come into force. And that's in a large way because of the diets that we have been, I don't know if the word is enjoying, but that we've been eating and drinking. So we owe it to do it to ourselves, do we not? Do we not owe it to ourselves to be more healthy than that? And if we don't owe it to ourselves, then we owe it to God. If we believe that God is within us, God exists within us, the Holy Spirit is within us, then we are temples. It says that in the Bible, and we have a duty to make sure that our bodies, our physicality is as healthy as it possibly can be. And not only that, if we do allow ourselves to be as healthy as we possibly can be, then we're going to be happier. And I'm happier now that I'm losing weight than I've been for a long, long time. So happiness and health are good results, good outcomes from this way of life. So we need to retrain. I have really been retraining myself, retraining my eating habits, retraining my palate, trying to train my palate to really sense the quality and the goodness of foods that I had kind of ignored and forgotten about. So I've started to enjoy fresh foods again, fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, even raw vegetables, which are packed full of nutrients, sort of nutrient dense. Every calorie is dense with nutrients, stuffed full of goodness. And these things are delicious. That's the revelation. After a while, when we begin to move on from that diet that we're used to and taste, retaste, relearn our taste for these fresh foods that are there in abundance. It really is delicious. These foods are delicious once we get used to them, and it only takes a few weeks. So what would you rather eat if I was to ask you that question? Would you rather eat food that is supercharged, full of fresh and delicious nutrition that makes you feel fantastic and full of energy? Or would you rather eat food that's stuffed with empty calories that turn to fat in our bodies, that's not nutritious and makes us feel tired and listless and lacking in energy? Do we realise that the food that we're eating right now are slowly killing us? I want to be alive. I have a duty to be alive. I want to be alive, not dead. So I've learned that we need to retrain our eating habits and get ourselves eating as healthily as possible. And that's what a Feria day is. A normal day is to eat really well, eat really good, highly nutritious food, supercharged with good vitamins and minerals and healthy proteins, supercharged with nutrients, some of which haven't even been discovered yet. So Feria days are about eating the freshest foods possible, foods that nature designed for human consumption, fresh fruit and vegetables and stacks of them. For me, much more than the 5 a day that's recommended. That's a minimum guideline. But see, to be honest, I could eat 20 or more portions of fresh fruit and veg every day. I'd still lose a stack of weight. That's what I've been doing. So a typical breakfast for me could include a whole cucumber, 4 or 5 salad tomatoes, a green bell pepper, a massive handful of spinach leaves, the baby ones that are lovely, a big bush of fresh broccoli or cauliflower with the stalks added, and 2 or 3 green apples, and maybe some raw carrots to add sweetness. And all of this is run through a juicer, so that I am having for my breakfast the most amazing, filling and supercharged nutritious green drink. This green drink is incredible. What a start to the day. And you know what? It's absolutely delicious. I really mean this. I'm being dead honest. It's a delicious, really nutrient rich start to the day. And what I've just said there, that's 10, at least 10 portions of fruit and veg for my breakfast. Then for lunch, I might have a bag of, I don't know if you know a shop called Lidl's. Lidl's, I'm sure all supermarkets do them, but in the frozen food section, there's a bag where inside it you can get broccoli and cauliflower and carrots that are raw but they've been frozen. And normally you would cook them and have them with a main meal. But I have them for my lunch defrosted. You know, I put them into the bag in the morning and by the time lunchtime comes, they've defrosted. And they taste great because these things, when they're frozen, are actually parboiled, flash boiled, in order to preserve them. So when you let them defrost and eat them the way that they are when they've just defrosted, they're lovely. And the carrots especially are so sweet and have a great aftertaste. And they're filling, full of roughage and full of fibre. So that's my lunch often, you know, and I feel great and get full of energy for the rest of the day. And then for dinner, what would I have for dinner? I would have a massive bowl of homemade lentil soup that's so stacked with lentils and split peas and so stacked with vegetables that, see the wooden spoon that I have that I make to stir the pot of soup, it stands up before the soup's even cooked. It's so packed full of nutrition and goodness that the spoon will stand up on its own without holding it. And that pot of soup might have 3 or 4 onions in it, 2 or 3 leeks, tons of grated carrot, and a whole cabbage cut down and added to it, along with the handfuls of lentils and split peas. God knows how many vegetable and fruit portions are in there, but I'll tell you what, I've at least had 20 portions of fruit and veg in that day. That's a typical day, a normal day. All fresh and packed with nutrients, all delicious, and every single calorie worth it. I have to say that I'm not a vegetarian. I actually love eating meat, but I don't eat a lot of meat, and when I do eat meat, I really savour it. But I could well have a piece of chicken or a lovely piece of salmon a couple of times a week. But I've been thinking about the way that my plate is arranged, and the way that I'm arranging it now is that the plate would be stacked full of the vegetable portion, and the bit of meat that I would have would be on the side. So it's the other way around. Rather than having a big steak or a big bit of chicken or a big bit of salmon with a vegetable side, it's the other way around. I would have the protein as the side and the salad as the main dish. The salad and the green vegetables. You know what I mean? That to me is it's a revelation to think of food that way. The 80% of the plate is the fresh, good, green food, and about 20% or less is the protein. The other point to make is that I've been trying to keep away from starchy foods, starchy vegetables like potatoes as much as I can. And then on top of all of that, and everything that I'm saying is true, I really mean this. This is what I love to eat now. And on top of all of that, I drink an awful lot of water. Fresh, cold, Scottish tap water. Not bought and not bottled. It doesn't have to be. The tap water's fine. I would love to get distilled water in it, and I will get that eventually. Ideally a distiller that would then take any chemicals or whatever that's in our Scottish water. But our water has got a reputation of being great, and so I drink as much of that as possible. What does that mean? That means at least 4 and usually more litres per day. 4, 5, 6, even more litres of fresh water every day, flushing through my organs and my kidneys, flushing them out, taking out all those toxins and bad chemicals that are built up over the time they've been around. And you know what? That revitalises me. My skin is so much better. My skin is so much healthier. And I feel so much fresher and so much alert. And you know something, and I mean this too, this is the God's honest truth. I get up now every day 2 hours earlier. I get up now somewhere around 5:30 every morning, at least during the week. And it doesn't bother me. I still go to my bed at the same time at night. And so I have less sleep, but the sleep is so much better. So much better. That's 2 extra hours. That's where I do my blog, usually. And that's also where I get some time to myself. It's a lovely time in the morning that before anybody else gets up. That would never have happened if it wasn't for this way of eating and drinking, this whole church diet, this whole weight, truth and life approach. So that's it. That's the Feria days for you. The feast days have more of the same, and the fast days have less. Feast, fast or Feria, this diet plan is, radically, dramatically improving my health. And I haven't even mentioned exercise yet. That's for the next video. God bless you.